the Walt Disney Company has premiered its newest hotel, that being the Pixar Place Hotel over near Disney's California Adventure. We've got a blog post from Disney itself, and then an interesting tour that I don't think Disney was quite ready to say that construction is finished. And there may be some indications that they weren't done at all when they decided to open this thing. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, welcome to That Park Place. I am Jonas J. Campbell, and with me, as always, is Vash Sky, my personal expert on West Coast United States theme parks, and some abroad as well. Vash, how are you doing this morning?
I am doing just fine. Thank you so much, Jonas, for having me on. Expert, yeah, I think I would qualify, yes, at least in the West Coast parks. And when it comes to anything Disneyland Resort, I'm all in, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So I wanted to get your comment on this. There's this blog post out of Disney talking about an inside look at Pixar Hotel's extraordinary special touches. Now, here's a problem right here, because you've capitalized almost every letter in this sentence. Is it the Pixar Hotel? No, it's the Pixar Place Hotel.
That's correct.
Which is, of course, overlooking Pixar Pier. So it's a little bit confusing from a branding standpoint. As we see here, never before seen Pixar artwork and head-turning pixelated costumes to unique outfit designs that highlight your favorite stories. Oh, look, there's pixels on the costumes. Never before seen. I guess I would say that's pixels, although I would say pixels are not really something you really want to focus on. When the general audience hears the word pixel, I generally think 16-bit or 8-bit myself, maybe even 32-bit, but that's at the stage where they're trying to get away from pixelation. But here we go, talking about all of this. Oh, here's a nice smiling front-end lead there. Some new costumes, and let's look here. What happens when you get off the elevator?
I'm so excited for the transformation to Pixar Place Hotel.
Wait. This is not the most up-to-date. Vash, can you help me out? Do you have the video of what happens when you get off on certain floors at the Pixar? I'll just leave it to you to give us all a grand tour.
That's
hotel.
I do appreciate it. Well, you could see these lovely guest rooms, which you just so amazingly pointed out. But that is the thing about these elevators right here. The way you access certain floors and what you actually come to is quite interesting here. As you can see right here, this is the 15th floor of the Pixar Place Hotel.
Wait, that's not the basement?
That's not the basement. No, this is a guest accessible area right here, and you can see not quite the stylistic or stylish aesthetic that they were kind of going for. At least I don't think they were anyway.
Now, if I were to guess, that would look to me like some kind of epoxy or maybe some concrete spillover from when you were trying to pour, and maybe it hadn't been sanded down yet in the elevator. The stairwell there. That's the kind of thing that you might expect to see in a parking garage, or something that was not yet finished.
Yes, I think that would be an accurate statement for sure. You can see some of this is complete. You can see just beyond here. If we go here, not that. You can see some of this guest area is actually done, which is kind of interesting, because if this is done, it's not the greatest. You can see above that exit sign right there. You can see some bubbling already taking place nearest that window. So that's not great. However, it's interesting because this kind of fresh caulking that was applied here in terms of the notes reads a date of December 21st, 2023. Well, this post here was from February 4th, and so this still hasn't been addressed months after the fact. So, is this open? Is this not? I don't know. Also, too, people were noticing because there are some bloggers out there who actually do book a room at locations like this on its inaugural week or weekend. People, longtime viewers of That Park Place, actually will note that the villas at Disneyland Hotel, we were talking about how some of our friends had been staying there on its inaugural weekend. Well, similar thing happened in this case. And what they had noticed, well, we'll get to that in a second. What they had noticed was that to get to the pool, you had to use one of their kind of service or maintenance elevators. And you can see right here, this really isn't meant to be guest facing. And yet this is what they had to do in order to get to the I think like the third floor pool or whatever. Well, go ahead, Dennis.
There have been multiple comparisons. Even on this channel, we've compared some of the rooms to a nice children's hospital. I would say that this is even a little dark for a children's hospital. I understand that this is supposed to be a backstage area here, and you kind of have to accept things on a certain level. This is the kind of thing that wouldn't bother me much if I was staying in some off-brand hotel somewhere, maybe in the Caribbean. But if this is supposed to be, is this a value resort?
No, well, it should be, but it's not. It's not priced that way, and I don't believe Disney distinguishes that way. I believe all of the hotels on property, including the Pixar Place Hotel, are considered deluxe hotel properties, which is insane to say, especially with like this level of unfinished state here and the price points that they're charging for it, especially when you consider that nearby locations that are much nicer the Pixar Place Hotel was simply a refurbished hotel. This is the second time it's been refurbished by the Walt Disney Company. That was basically a cash grab by some Japanese corporation looking to capitalize on the LA Olympics back in the 1980s. That's where we're going from here. So it should be a value hotel, but it is not. People were quick to point out, by the way, a maintenance service elevator. Where have I heard that before? it's great.
Imagine if you will. Oh man, that's perfect.
Yes. Isn't that great? Absolutely love that for sure. So people were having some fun with it. And look, I will say, hey, if you happen to have to use another elevator to get to another part of this hotel on its inaugural weekend or whatever, because there's some issues, that stuff kind of happens. We see that with attractions sometimes. Okay, no big deal. But this kind of stuff on the 15th floor right here, this is just atrocious. This is really, really bad.
That really
at least demark this stuff or something. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, that needs to be blocked off. That's the kind of thing that a guest should not wander into it. Go back one to that emergency exit door right there. Is that an open spot above the door? So is this a makeshift wall with an emergency exit crash bar door?
It looks like it. Yeah.
Okay, so is that supposed to be blocked off there on that particular side? I think this one is one where people are not supposed to go past it. But the rest of it, you can't have. I think there's probably fire code reasons that you can't have a stairwell blocked off. But this is obviously complete carpet at the bottom. This is unfinished stairwell here. This is,
see the railing right here has been removed.
I think I know a few crews of people who could probably get this taken care of for you real quick.
You would guess. This is.
And speaking of theming, maybe they got confused. They thought it was Pirates of the Caribbean theming, and they were talking about Cortez and the cursed gold coins. And he tried to redeem himself by becoming a subcontractor and working on hotels in the Southern California area. And so this is a redemption story from the next Pirates film.
You gotta write in the Disney Parks blog. we gotta, you gotta really sell this.
But that being said, the guest areas, though, the completed areas of the hotel, are they really spectacular things that are unparalleled anywhere else in the space?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not even in the LA area, as far as I'm concerned. There are some pictures that came out of some of the guest areas. Wonderful view right there, I will say. And honestly, there are some 4 stars in this area right here for actually cheaper than what you can actually stay at the Pixar Place Hotel for. And those have much more elaborate accommodations. I will say, though, this does have the distinction of having Joe Gardner be playing in the lobby stairwell. It's more like the stairwell of the Pixar Place Hotel. So this was something that Disney touted on the day that, interestingly, Universal came forward with their Epic Universe announcement on Tuesday.
Man.
And I wouldn't say this was their response, but it was one of these things where it was like, hey guys, can we just wait a couple of days for the Epic Universe news to kind of fade out a little bit?
I violated one of my personal rules that day because I recorded a conversation. Well, I basically turned the recording on while Culture and I were talking about this Culture Casino, when I were talking about the Epic Universe stuff and some of the conversation around Epic Universe. But there was something very specific that came up, and people that like to recommend that you stay on property. I think these are people that probably aren't having to pay a lot for a lot of extra people to go with them, because that premium really adds up when you're trying to house more than maybe one or two people, or if you get into an area where you can't split those costs across several people. I look at this right here, and someone pointed out that Disney responding with this was somehow an understated declaration that they have it all together. This is probably the most minimalist Disney costume that I have ever seen for a quote unquote cast member, to the point where if it wasn't posted to a Disney account, this looks like low effort cosplay, which is fine. Disney bounding is a thing. But for Walt Disney Imagineering to release a video and have this particular costume is confusing to me. And I don't have a problem with this character in any way. But if you look over on, if you've watched the movie Soul, and that was I think that was released in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 2021. But this is not the ascended version of Joe. This is the version of Joe from the poster. If you go and look at who he ends up becoming when he actualizes himself by the end of the film, he gets a good fade. He gets a nice suit. This black on black combo here with the tie and the shirt looks really sweet. This right here, if he went with this costume, it would at least be something that not everybody has in their closet. I think that this would probably be a better way to do it. Or if you are even going to put Joe in a place at the Pixar Pier Hotel, maybe put him with a full jazz band, as opposed to just saying any person who happens to fit the description, we're going to give you a turtleneck and blue jeans and stick you at a piano and pretend that we have done excellent theming. I appreciate that your character is understated, but this is not impressive, Disney. I mean, the piano player himself might be impressive, and I love good jazz piano, but I think just having a random piano player there might be better than trying to theme him around Joe Gardner.
Yeah, it just seemed like, there's this kind of Disney thing where if you have a luxurious hotel, maybe like the Grand Californian or the Grand Floridian, you have this either band, like you were saying there, Jonas, which they could have done here. I guess that'd be too much, though. Or you have this piano player that performs, and that's your kind of luxurious accommodation right there. I think they were going for something similar here. Didn't have necessarily a prominent place to do that, so they had to stick him in the stairwell. You can actually see here, interestingly enough, this is the first incarnation of him, and then later on, I guess they added like these blue lights around him. So even that wasn't finished on day one there, which is kind of funny. But it's they're attempting to do with this kind of theming, with this kind of aesthetic, to do this kind of upscale hotel, but with basically no money, because the company doesn't necessarily want to invest all that much into it. I don't think the Pixar Place Hotel is part of their long-range plans, especially when you talk about Disneyland Forward and what that might bring to it and in the nearby surrounding area. I think this hotel, they want to get maybe like 10 more years out of it and then go in a completely different direction. So what do you do in the interim? What do you, how do you how do you save on costs and so forth associated with it, you do stuff like this. And it's really unfortunate because people who stay at the Pixar Place Hotel are spending a lot of money. I mean, we're talking $300, $400, $500 per night per room. So it's a tragic thing to see the Disney company lower its standards to this degree, but not necessarily surprising by I guess today's standards.
I'll also add from a story standpoint, it's supposed to be the actualization of Joe Gardner. So I guess this is down on his luck, Joe Gardner, that has to go slum it and go play jazz in a piano in a hotel stairwell. Guys, I hate to be a downer, but like Disney is over here bragging about this stuff, and they got this earnings call that's going to be Wednesday, and they're going to put the opening. I would not be surprised if they brag about the opening of Pixar Place Hotel, and it's not a finished hotel. It is something that if you wander into it, at least there's not nails on the ground. There's that. I mean, it looks like they swept up. I'm not completely sure that you wouldn't have a little concrete dust sticking to your shoes there if you walk through it, but. Why is Disney doing this? So often it seems like they are rushing. We talked about the Villas, which is a DVC. I almost said DVC lounge. It is. Those are for super fans who are putting tens of thousands of dollars on the line in order to reserve their spot at a Disney hotel. And we even showed there were stamps on the lumber. There were incomplete things. There were non-working thermostats, and the headboards were popping because the lights in the headboards had ended up heating and then cooling off and causing unusual noises in the night. A lot of this stuff seems to be slapped together, which is something that we might expect from, say, like a Nickelodeon hotel from 10 years ago, not the current Walt Disney Company, which should be the greatest theme park and resort company on the planet.
It's just really tough to see because we're seeing the competition, and well, interestingly enough, Nelson Peltz is talking about the competition, right? when he's talking about his Restore the Magic campaign, that you have a theme park company, or at least a company who has a theme park division, understand what business it's in, and it's constantly looking to reinvest, is constantly looking to raise the bar. We just went over all that great Epic Universe coverage, which you can go ahead and rewatch our live stream from last week. Very, very good stuff right there. And you're seeing them, the Helios Hotel and the Stella Nova and the Terra Luna and all these different things. And it's like, whoa, I mean, they're really bringing, they're bringing it when it comes to these theme park investments. And you look at Disney and it's like, they tout these huge figures. Oh, we're going to spend $60 billion on the theme park division. And then you look at the work output, you look at what that buys you, and you just go, I mean, these things don't correlate. Like, how can this be done so much on the cheap, especially when you, given the fact that it's right across from a theme park that was known to be of cheap or substandard quality when it opened back in February of 2001. And it was only until like 2007 when they really invested, it was like $1.2 billion in really getting that up to standard. Did people really start to treat that theme park differently? You're kind of seeing them make the same mistakes again, and it's really disheartening to see.
Yeah, it's to the point now where if the Walt Disney Company were to announce on their next earnings call that they're opening a fifth gate in Florida, I would actually be sad for them at this point, because I don't think that they have shown over the last specifically 5 to 6 years that they are capable of the greatness that they need in building these theme parks. All right. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video, guys. Like it if you like it. And of course, if you know someone who is interested in this kind of stuff, then consider sharing it out with them. And consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.